Okay, here we have the drawing textbook by Bruce McIntyre, and today is lesson 13. We're going to draw a guided missile in direction 5, a donut, 3 steps in direction 1, a flower pot, a barrel of apples, and a rowboat in direction 1. Here we go. Now, the guided missile. This one says to slant the body of the missile very slightly and to make sure the ends of the wings and the tips of the tail are parallel with the direction of the missile. The missile is going to go this way, so everything else has to be parallel with it. I'm not sitting very well here. Okay, so I'm going to have my missile going in this direction. So I'm going to have the back end roughly here, and it comes up and over, and there is pointing. And then the back end, the bottom part is there. It's probably a little fatter than it needs to be down the bottom, but not known for my missile drawings, I suppose. That was the easy part. Now we have the wings. Now the wings are going to come out here and on the other side. And the wing tip has to be parallel with this line. So I'm just going to go in the same direction. There we go. Those look like very short wings, but that's okay. This line we want to get rid of. And of course we want to attach that wing to our missile. I'm going to add some stripes here to give it that roundish look. We'll be adding, I'll add a little shading already here. And then we need the tail. The tail this can actually curve up about that way. I think one looks a little better. Well, it's debatable. Going to come up here and over and down. And then again, you have some wings here, which are going out in this way, and the ends of them have to be parallel with these. So I'm just going to actually kind of draw that first. Whoops. It's hard to see where I'm drawing here, I think. No, that's about right. That's not parallel at all, excuse me. Zoop, zoop. This line here has to go away. Let's clean that up a bit. We have the tail. We have the tail wings, which are at a very sharp angle. Doesn't even look like that one's attached. Let's make that wing a little skinnier so that it's attached to my tail of the missile. All right, now I'm pleased. All right, let's add some shading here. Probably don't make missiles like this anymore. This would have a little more shading under here because that's under the wing. And that's our missile there. We can actually color in our band here with a little highlighting there. Okay, that's our missile in direction 1. The donut is a foreshortened circle, but a fatter one, so it's not as round. We normally have a round circle and a foreshortened circle. This one is in between the two, so it's going to be like I don't know, kind of like a squashed circle, you might call it. And then to give it the donut, you're going to draw a curve that's parallel to the bottom one, and then a smaller one just kind of inside. It looks like an inflatable tube or something. I'll just give a little shading on the ground. That's our little donut here. That was probably the fastest one we're going to draw ever. There's our donut. You can make this a little bit rounder to give it more of that juicy donut look. There we go. The 3 steps, we did the 2 steps in the last one, and now we're going to do the 3 steps in direction 1. Same idea. We start with the point, and then we're heading off somewhere that way, which we'll probably erase some. And here's our step going this way. This is where we're going to go up the stairs. We're going to draw the vertical line, and then draw the first step. This line is parallel to that one. This is a vertical line, just like this one. The first step is parallel to this here. And then we draw another parallel line to that one. There's our first step. Go go up to the next step. Go up to the next. Whoops, that was wrong. We went up, there's our going up, and then we're going, here's our next step. And then we go up. These steps are getting skinnier. Right, this comes here, and then we go, here's our last step. And we bring that down vertically. I made this a very fat, clunky looking step. There we go, that looks a little better. Let's shade each of these steps on this side. Light's coming from behind there, so we're going to shade all our steps. Generally wouldn't have your steps getting skinnier like mine just did. But you get the idea. And this line we can erase. We don't need that line. A little bit of shading on the ground as well. There's our steps. Again, try to keep your lines parallel. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's our 3 steps. The flower pot is 2 foreshortened circles because it has an inner part. So we're going to have the 1 foreshortened circle and the rim of my flower pot. It's another foreshortened circle. Okay. Then we have the that upper edge, so to speak, of the flower pot, which is reflected in here, right? This should be the same height as this one here. And then we just have our basic flower pot shape. Foreshortened circle, the front end there. We can add our shading in here and our shading all along here. Shading on the ground. And we need to put our flower in. So here's our very simple flower. I don't know what I'm drawing here. It's a very, very simple flower. We're not here to draw flowers today, clearly. Here we're going to have some shading there on the inside. And here too. That's our flower pot. Am I missing anything? No, that looks good. Well, the flower's not perfect there, mind you. Can color my leaves a bit better there. Yes, there's my flower pot. Again, I like to draw a little bit darker right under the edge there because that's the edge of the ribbon there. Okay, the barrel of apples. The barrel goes with an outward shape that starts with a foreshortened circle up top. And I'm going to make it a little bit wider one so we can draw some apples in there. Whoops, I should actually close that properly. This has a bit of a rim as well, so I'll actually use that messed up line I just drew there and draw my rim, my other foreshortened circle. The barrel comes from here, goes out and down, and this side goes out and down. The bottom should not be skinnier than the top. Draw your foreshortened circle on the bottom. We'll do the bands last, I think. When we draw these, so a barrel is made up of slats that are curved. We're going to have one roughly in the middle here. This one. As we get further to the edge here, they become closer together because of the distance going off. That one's going to be a bit more curved. There we go. We're going to put a band around this, which is usually a metal band, iron to hold it all together. This is not shading, this is just coloring that I'm doing of these bands that hold all those wooden planks together to make the barrel shape. in the barrel we have some apples. Now the near apples need to be drawn first. Here's my apples. It's going to be quite full of apples, and then the rest are just kind of overlapping. That looks like a stupid apple. Okay, that seems like enough apples to me. The apples in the back you will see very little of. Those are our apples. All those apples would need a little bit of shading to make them seem like something curvy apple-ish. And our barrel itself needs some shading on the outer side here. The shading, you may have noticed I do my shading in lots of different directions. I generally kind of go curvy for these curvy shaped things, but that's not necessary. Just want to get a feeling of the shape, and the shading actually gives a lot of the feeling of the shape, because you get the feeling that this is dark, and so this is away from the light. A little bit of shading on the ground for the bottom there. There's our barrel of apples. And we can actually draw some shading back here for the inside of the barrel. Okay, and the last thing is the rowboat. Now the rowboat, it's suggested that you start with the back line of the boat and just draw a straight line going this way. Then they say the other line, now this backboard doesn't go horizontal and it doesn't go vertical either. It has to go kind of in between the two, but closer to horizontal. So I'm just going to draw that one first, because that gets me pointed in the right direction, I find. Then this line comes up and curves a bit to front to join the front of the boat. Then we have this line comes down and over to join the back end there. It's a little tricky. I don't find I get it quite right each time. Gonna make it a little higher, it feels like. They have a thickness here because it's made out of wood, so you have the thickness all around. And then we have a seat in the back here, which is attached to the side. Trying to keep my lines parallel here, of course. And then I have another seat partway up my boat. And of course I have the floor of the boat. And this part is all in some shady shadow here. There's some water about, and maybe a cattail or two in the water. Right, and there's our rowboat. Not quite like the one in the book. I have a different angle. And there you have it.